Welcome
to the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 155 of The Joy of Coding. It's October 31st, 2018. Lightning crashes. If I'd thought ahead, I would have built in a bunch of cool spooky sounds into my soundboard and some lighting effects, but I didn't. I didn't think that far ahead. So that's as close as we're gonna get. What are we doing today? Happy Halloween. Let me share my screen and let's get to work. So, right, today is October 31st. It's episode 155. A reminder, no plan survives breakfast. None of what I'm about to do is pre-planned or pre-scripted. I have some things I want to work on today, but whether or not they're going to... sorry, I think my mic's coming in a bit hot. Sorry about that. Whether or not that's going to result in, patches being written or... me actually solving stuff, who knows? It's all I'm capturing software development in the raw, so things might go horribly wrong. I might get distracted, I might get stuck, I might get things wrong, and that's okay. That's how things work. I'm not working off of pre-written solutions or anything. So that's one thing. The second thing is that this episode, this agenda that you're looking at is something that you have available to you if you want to follow along. I'll be updating it as the episode goes on, usually, and it synchronizes automatically, so if you reload it, it should synchronize. If you're watching this on the Air Mozilla, new Air Mozilla, then it's in the handout section. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, it's in the video description down below. And for the folks who are in Twitch, I am going to drop a link right now into the Twitch chat to the agenda. Boom, there you go. And there's also a link to rate the episode at the end if you want to let me know what you thought of this spooky Halloween episode of The Joy of Coding. So let me know what you thought. I read everything that comes in. Help me make the series better. Give me some feedback. So, quick plug to the episode guide. There is a viewer-driven episode guide that you may or may not be familiar with. It's hosted on GitHub, and it's completely viewer-driven. So if you have some of your own notes that you want to contribute to the episode guides, send them my way. We've got up to episode 153 here. Sometimes it's a link to the Evernote and the video, and then maybe some of the topics I cover and some handy links, maybe a link to the rate the episode thing. Sometimes it's a lot more sparse. Sometimes it's just the episode and the agenda. But if you have your own notes, this is for you, the viewers. If you want to add addenda, maybe expand on something. Last week I was talking about React stuff that I'm only... I'm very much a React beginner. I'm a little bit more old school, and so I was learning about React and how the front end uses it for activity stream, and I was learning about rehydration and stuff and persisting activity stream to the disk. And maybe you have your own ideas about ways we could approach that, in which case, you could add some addenda to the episode once the guide for episode 154 comes out, because I don't think I've gotten a pull request for it yet. Anyways, that's the episode guide. There you go. If you're not sure how to contribute, there are links here in the agenda on how you can do that, a contributing guide, as well as a guide on, how to send a pull request to a repository. What is a repository? Where is the repository? That sort of thing. So, quick self-check. Now that I've gone through the preamble, is everything working? Yes, I'm recording. Yes, you can hear me. That's good. Good. What are we working on today? Well, I've got a couple of things I want to look at. And I might get stuck on any number of them, but I'm going to work on them in this order, I think, for now. So we actually took a stab at this last week, where the password door hanger is not displaying using custom tabs on an Android device. So I don't have an Android device with me right now. Or I don't have the Elmo. I actually have an Android device I'm holding in my hand here, but I don't want to make you watch me build Firefox or run Firefox for Android while I'm messing with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick off a build of Firefox for Android in the background, and then maybe we can load it in the emulator and we can start debugging it. That's my plan, hopefully. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a new terminal. I'm going to change my working space because I've got like these. I have this thing called mozconfig wrapper, which if you build Firefox, if you're not familiar with mozconfig wrapper, this is really handy. I'm going to put a link to it in the agenda. Mozconfig wrapper. Basically, it allows me to have different moz configs, and I can like add, like in a terminal, like it's almost like a virtual env environment. I can enter it. If you've ever used like Python virtual env, it's like that except for a moz config. So I can say like list all my moz configs, and I've got one for Fennec, and so I'm going to say build with Fennec, and now I'm configured. I should be configured to build Fennec. So hopefully. Well, first of all, I'm going to bootstrap because it's been a while since I've built it, and I want to make sure that I can. I'm going to do Firefox for Android artifact mode. I don't believe this will require any native code manipulation because the bug that we're talking about here, 1498233, is one that apparently I regressed with. Is one I regressed with a change set that is JavaScript only. So I should be able to update or manipulate this using just an artifact build and you know, try and fix it. So we'll see. I'm going to kick that off in the background and let that sit. In the meanwhile, let's move on to the next thing. What's this? So this is a performance bug that I filed a couple of days ago for something I noticed. And it's been annoying me ever since I noticed it. And so I thought maybe we could do a little investigation today. I don't know if you've noticed this, but every time, and maybe it's just me, this is a Mac OS specific bug. Whenever I switch from one application to Firefox, back to Firefox, like for example, say I'm in Evernote and I click on a link, the first few seconds, maybe the first second or two of me in the browser are really not smooth. Like there's a moment of time there where like I drop frames, and it doesn't always happen. And I captured it in a profile. And what I found was that there's this stuff going on in Mac OS land at the operating system level. So this is a Mac OS specific bug. And it all has to do with the menu at the top. So this is the new profiler look. I'm going to switch back to this view because I'm used to it. But what I'm looking at here is a bunch of blocking of the main thread and a bunch of activity and a bunch of JavaScript activity specifically. Let me zoom in a little here. And I can tell it's JavaScript activity because it's encoded in yellow down here. And also if I just unfold the stack, the tree here, then I see I eventually get down to some JavaScript. And what's happening in the JavaScript is that I am handling page icons being loaded. Page icons being like the fav icons, the thing that show up in the tabs here. These sorts of things are a whole bunch of time is being spent loading and doing something with these page icons. I can tell I'm there because of where I am in the script here. I don't know if you can read this, but it says, oh, my head's in the way. Page icon protocol handler. That's what it says right there. So that, and I'm in this function called new channel 2. And page icon protocol handler is the thing that recognizes, well, let's pull up the code and I'll show you. Page icon protocol handler. Basically, there's this special protocol, like HTTP and HTTPS, those are protocols. And we have a special one inside, like privileged code, and the protocol is page-icon. So I believe there are, I don't believe you need moz in front. So there should be like page icon : / No? Not finding it? Moz page icon? Is that how it works? Page icon : and then some and then it's it takes some interesting path, like the path to a page. And the role of this protocol is to talk to the places database, which contains our record, because we cache the favicons. It goes and talks to places and says, hey, get me the favicon. And then let's go back to the page icon protocol handler. It serves up that icon. So we register ourselves inside the networking layer to say, hey, I handle this particular protocol. And the networking layer says, okay, well, create me a channel. Give me something called NSI channel that implements an NSI channel for what it is we want to load through you. And what the protocol handler does is it opens up a pipe and it creates an input stream channel. And so we're piping something into this channel, and what we're piping in, we're creating a new URI for the page, and we ask the places database, get the favicon data for this page, and then once we have it, we stream it out to the consumer. So that's how that works. And apparently a bunch of these are happening. You can sort of see, like, because we're entering and re-exiting new channel 2 a bunch. You can tell I'm not like just staying inside it. I'm entering and re-exiting because only like individual slices. I'm like, some samples are not inside new channel 2 and some are. So that tells me that I'm entering and exiting it a lot. So a bunch of favicons are loading. And the theory is that, I don't know if you are aware that the menu up here, there's bookmarks, and some of those bookmarks have favicons. There's a bunch of favicons inside the bookmarks, and I have a lot of bookmarks, lots and lots of bookmarks. And if you look at the profile, what the stack, like what's resulting here, Mac OS is asking us to, there's a special function here, simulate menu opening. Mac OS is asking us to simulate opening the menu. And when we simulate opening the menu, at least Firefox, simulate menu opening is something that's happening inside Mac OS, but what we receive is basically a command to pretend like you open the menu. Open the menu is what it's saying. Construct the menu. And the bookmarks submenu is one part of that menu. And we start, we make requests for all those favicons for, populating the menu. And that causes a bunch of page icon requests. And then we have to deal with them all. And I bet you that scales, like that gets worse. It's a ON based on the number of the favicons there. It's just going to get worse linearly the more favicons there are in the bookmarks. So the more bookmarks you have inside the bookmarks menu. So effectively, what my theory is that sometimes, and I don't think it's all the time, I think sometimes switching from one application back to Firefox makes all of the menus pretend like they just opened. That's my theory. And opening the bookmarks menu, when you have a lot of bookmarks, is expensive. So I want to figure out what we can do about this. One of the things I'm hoping we can do, because as I understand it, I don't think there's a way we can kind of like notice that we're being asked to simulate menu opening. As far as I can tell, well, first of all, I don't even know how menu opened is being called, so maybe we should start there. Let me just answer these questions for artifact build. Oh boy, that's not what I wanted. Let's do that again, but I'm not going to. Oh, seriously, you're going to do all this again? You're going to update Homebrew? Come on. All right, well, let's get back to what we were doing just now. I want to figure out how menu opened is called from Mac OS. So we'll start by using SearchFox, and we'll look for ns-menu-x menu opened. So this is the thing that's being called. And if I understand correctly, how we tend to work with macOS is that we just register things in the operating system. We register listeners, observers, that sort of thing. That's how it works. That's how it works on most operating systems. Is you register particular handlers for various operating system events, and those handlers convert those events into stuff that Gecko, which is cross-platform, can understand, and then we blast those events inside of Gecko. And then so we have this like platform-specific layer that captures events and operating system things, and then we talk to the cross-platform stuff, and then anything that needs to come back out to the platform kind of goes through that platform compatibility layer. So somehow the operating system knows to call menu opened, and I want to know how it knows how to do that. So let's look to see everything that calls menu opened. So I found a number of things. One thing is that there's this function called force update native menu at that calls it directly, which if I look back at the profile that I captured is not what's happening. Send menu opening notification comes from AppKit, which is the Mac OS layer. We're outside of Gecko at this point, and then menu opened is where we're entered. So it's not like another function within the Gecko code base is calling menu open. Something else is calling it. So we must have registered menu opened somewhere, and I want to know how that works. And this might involve going back into the code base and going deep within the history of Gecko to see how this works. Let's take a quick peek. No, I don't want to check to ensure Mercurial is optimally configured. It's updating bindgen. That's great. Cool. So while it's updating that, we'll keep going. So I don't think it's here. What is this? NSMenuX. So here we're inside a function inside NSMenuX called menu will open. So I wonder if maybe what happened is we registered this, although I would have expected menu will open to have shown up in the stack, but you never know. Things might, I never know how things will work. Menu will open. Who calls menu will open? Well, on the standalone native menu, menu will open. This method must be called for the menu that will display to the user. It allows the platform to update the menu. Interesting. Okay. So that's like how we know that the menu will open. Here. So we're receiving notifications that the menu will open and then the menu closed. And what's interesting is that we call menu opened here, which I guess does the drawing. I think that's what actually does the drawing. And there's update menu. But what actually calls menu opened? So the good news is I have a recent build of Firefox, and I have the sources and I have a debugger, so I can actually I think maybe answer this question using a debugger. So what I'm gonna do, instead of just sort of monkeying around with inspection, is, and hopefully I don't wreck my machine by making it do too much, I'm gonna say mock run. Do I want to do this? How do I want to do this? There's no way for it to like clone. Is there a way for me to like clone a profile from about profiles? I can rename. I can launch. I don't think I can copy. And there's probably a way I can do it from. So screw it. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shut down, because I want to open this profile, my main profile, which has all the bookmarks in it. it's a little dangerous because, you know, I'm effectively going to be downgrading whenever I switch back, but it won't be a huge downgrade. When I switch back to the release build of Nightly, chances are that I'm running a slightly older version of Nightly, and that shouldn't be too bad. I think I'll be okay. So screw it. I only talk about downgrading because I know that there are issues sometimes with downgrading, but that usually only happens if there's been like a database migration, and we're getting better about like being downgrade safe. So I'm going to shut down my instance, and then I'm going to run I'm going to ask for the profile manager, and I'm going to say run with the debugger. Actually, no, I'm not going to run with the debugger. I'm going to use Xcode for this because it's a little bit friendlier to the eyes. Hopefully not too heavyweight. OBS is just sucking up CPU like crazy. Luckily, my frame rate's pretty good. Oh, I'm also building. That's what's going on here. I'm building like bind gen. Yikes. Hopefully that finishes shortly. So run P, and then I've got Xcode running here. Let's do it. Ooh, there's a question in the Twitch chat. Hey Mike, this is unrelated. Any idea why when I restart Nightly for a fresh update, the old one stays in the dock on Mac like yours on the left? No, I don't know. But I do think it's how, I've seen it happen periodically. And I suspect it has something to do with how our software, it might have to do with timing or when we update particular files inside the Nightly package. I don't actually know. You know what? No, I'm not even going to hypothesize. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know. I've noticed that myself. It is a little frustrating, but we have bigger fish to fry. Okay, so here we go. I've got my build here. Now I'm going to get the process ID. One sec. 25824. Okay. So let us attach 25824. Put in my master password. Tomato Shadow, I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Sorry I couldn't answer your question. Okay, so we are attached, I believe. No, it's still attaching. It's really just thinking about it. This bind gen build, I think, is really sucking a lot of my CPU. Yeah, it's taking like 13,000% of my CPU according to Activity Monitor. And OBS is okay, that was like a ridiculous amount of CPU. Somehow I don't believe it. I don't even think I have that many cores to use 13,000% of my CPU. That's ridiculous. But you saw that number. You saw it. I wasn't just making that up. I wasn't just exaggerating. So now we're attached. Great. Now is an excellent opportunity to set our breakpoint. So I'm going to pause, and I'm going to say, where's the sidebar? Here we go. Break at ns menu x menu. Was it menu opened? Oh man. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. So we actually just hit it just now. That's great. And we're inside the simulate menu opening thing. And it's just machine language. What? Why do I have machine language? Why aren't you showing me symbols? Shoot, why don't I have symbols right now? Did I build with an artifact build? That would explain it. And that would really put a damper on things. I'm going to detach. If I have an artifact build, then I don't locally have symbols. Let me quit for a sec. Moz config. Don't! I built with an artifact build. That's why. That is why. Wah wah. Build with default. So let's go back to building Fennec, and then we can hopefully do that with an artifact build. Let's do that right now. Let's see if that kicks off at the very least. And while that's cooking, while we're working on the Fennec stuff, maybe we can kick off a real build of like a non-artifact build, and we can come back to this other thing for investigation. Shoot, sorry folks, we were onto something there, but then it was just machine code. Well, I can at least talk about one thing that's bothering me. More updates are applying. I wonder what that's about. The thing that's bothering me is that NS menu opened looks like it was designed to know whether or not it actually needs to be reconstructed. I don't know if this is bothering me so much as it's like my nose is going off. Like I feel like there's an opportunity here to do something better. Or like there's maybe a bug here. So if we go inside menu opened, there's this function that's like needs rebuild. And if that's not true, then we bubble out. And so I wonder if like needs rebuild happens like we set it. When do we do that? We set it once after we, oh man, let's go Coco. It's false by default, and then we set it to true here whenever we say set needs rebuild, and then whenever it's done opening, we'll say needs rebuild false. Is there any other place where we say it's false? Application menu opened. Menu opened. Menu will open. This menu bar, native menu, allocate, and with title, main menu bar, Gecko NS menu. What even is this thing? Gecko NS menu is this class. It implements NS menu. And then we allocate it, we knit it, and then we bail out. And then if we create Aquify, there's a group owner. We construct the native menus. Here we say set menu bar this to the parent window. And we clear out the original parent. And then we say there's a menu bar. And we'll paint it. Paint the menu bar. Set main menu from native menu. Actually, no. Application menu. That's this thing. That's this thing, the application menu. It's the other stuff that I care about. Menu bar. Well, at any rate, still building that. I'm going to wait until this is done before I kick off the build over here. So while we're waiting for those two things, let us work on the third thing, which is I'm working on an add-on called MyQOnly that allows Mozilla engineers to get a sense of how many reviews are in their queue with this little handy little icon up here, and it sets like a little counter. And it talks to Fabricator and it talks to Bugzilla, and it refreshes every couple of minutes, and then we'll display a little count if there are any reviews to do. And I want to implement, what did I want to implement? Well, two things. First of all, I wanted to, I've got like these really interesting tests. This is my first time writing a web extension with tests, and I'm using something called Sign on Chrome, which is it mocks out the web extension APIs. Originally, the Chromium APIs was extended to mock out the web extension APIs, and it I load it using Karma. I load the scripts using a framework called Karma in an actual browser window, and then I wrap the scripts using Sign on Chrome, and then I'm able to like write these tests like right here. Let's see, where am I? So I test that like the options dialog for MyQOnly. It's possible for me to like ensure that they populate properly if there are no default values or something for the options. Like, do we start in a sane state? And I'm able to check that, and then like make sure that when you set certain values that they get persisted properly. So that appears to be working, and I can run those tests pretty easily now. So if I do like yarn test, I'm using yarn, which is like npm but faster, and it's from those wacky people at Facebook, some of whom are my friends, but they're up to shady business sometimes, those Facebook people. Not to throw shade, but you know it. But Yarn's pretty cool. They write good tools. Oh man. It failed just because it timed out. It's just because my computer's so slow right now because it's trying to like run so much stuff. This artifact build is taking forever. What are you doing? Oh, it's packing up a whole bunch of like jar files. Maybe if I shut down Xcode, things will be better and get more out of the way. Suspect there's just a lot of traffic on my disk right now. Anyways, yeah, my tests run. It failed because like options page should show stored interval time and be able to update. Seriously? I'm failing a test now? Timeout. Oh, because I hit a timeout. That's why. Oh, should be able to get set working hours from default state. What part did I fail? Yeah, line 90. That it was called once. Interesting. So it wasn't called. So I'm expecting, oh man, some context here. I'm expecting this function to be called browser storage local set should be called once, and it's not. Is that because it's getting called multiple times? Maybe. What happens if I just use called? Chai is this like mocking framework that allows you to like wrap functions and things that can count how many times they're called and like what they're called with. So yeah, it is being called. It's just not necessarily being called once. Probably there's a bit of a race here. That would not surprise me. Huh. Or maybe not. Really wish this build was done and then I could like we could talk about it or like run it at full speed. Maybe if I like cancel this build and then resume it so that my CPU usage goes down. All right, let's try it again. Come on, computer. Don't be so sad. I know a lot of things are using CPU right now, particularly OBS. And Sublime? What are you doing, Sublime? See, now it passes. So there's a bit of a race there. Maybe we could look at that. So let's get our build going again. So sign on Chrome is wrapping something called sign on. And sign on has like all these different ways of like asserting. And what I want to do is assert that something was called at least once. And then called with provide arguments. Called with spy first call. Get call spy. So maybe called with, and then maybe I'll say like browser.storage.local.set.first call. Run our tests. I wish the feedback cycle was a little bit shorter here. That's the best whenever you can get your answers much faster than this. And I didn't get my syntax right. Line 91, called with, oh, sorry, I need to do this, something like this, called with, I think that's the right syntax. Or the right sort of formatting. We'll see. I'll probably want to hook up some ESLint to this now that I'm getting all fancy with like Yarn and stuff and sign on Chrome and all these like cool nodey JavaScript things, is I can use like ESLint like we're starting to use in the Firefox tree. Basically modern tools. So let's see what it thinks of this. So the first call is not called with that. So let's see what let's see if we can console.log what the first call args are. First call. arguments. Get call. I don't know. Like spy. Documentation. Spy. Like called. Truth. Called once, not called. Called once, called twice, thrice. First call. So let's get the call and then call. Array of received arguments. That's what I want. First call dot args. And I want maybe called with exactly. That's what I want. So let's run that again. Meanwhile, how's our build going? Still going. Still exporting. This is crazy. So much Java. Yeah, Java is just dominating my CPU right now. Artifact builds were supposed to be cheap. What's going on here? Oh, wait a second. Did I... Hold the phone. Hold the phone. I bet you I didn't tell it to do an artifact build. Yep. That's what I needed to do. Silly, silly Mike. Mock clobber. Mock build. Actually do an artifact build this time. No wonder Java was so dominant. Hold on. Working hours object. So what it was actually passed was something else. What were those things? What were those things? Console log, JSON.stringify it. No. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So what is it's an array? Args, the first array. It's an object. The first call is, oh, do these have to be like this? Enabled true. Whoops. That wouldn't make sense for why this is only sometimes failing, but maybe it's because I switched to called with exactly. Start time, end time. All right, how about now? Certainly my CPU usage has gone down. Now it's complaining again. Expected it to be truthy. Line 92. It's this thing called with exactly. What? Working hours. So it's an object. Args. First call args. An array. Received arguments. So this is the argument. The first argument, first and only argument that's passed is an object with working hours. And what is called with exactly? Just so I know. Provided, if call received provided arguments and no others. Call received provided arguments. So maybe it's doing like an actual comparison of the objects. So maybe I'll like we're gonna do a little more coercion. What is the dealio? Okay, so if I say like that, and then I say this thing, console.log, JSON stringify this thing. Do them both. Are they the same? I should probably have just like done a string comparison instead of making myself do it. Oh, whoa. Why is this one? Is it the indentation? I know. Why would the indentation be different here? Working hours. Enable true days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Start time 9 o'clock, end time 17 o'clock. Oh, and then I'm just doing this wrong, that's why. Passed the wrong things. Or I passed them in the wrong place. This is very interesting. So these look the same to me. And let's see if JavaScript agrees. Let A equal that. Let B equal this. And then let's say, instead of asserting like that, we'll say assert dot equal AB. Ooh. So yeah, the strings actually match. There's call args. Called with, call receive matching args behaves the same as by called with. Call receive provide arguments. Should it be like called with match? I'm kind of guessing here. Not math. Match. Also, hang on. Am I called with arg1, arg2? Oh, maybe I'm doing this wrong. Browser local set first arg. First arg, first call. Sign on assert called on. I don't know if you can do it the other way around, where like with a stub, you do like. I have a feeling, yeah, I have a feeling that this is where I'm falling over. Called with match. That should pass now, I think. Right. Now, what about whenever it was failing before? Oh, shoot. What happened here? Why did you fail? With Android, NDK is not available in this configuration. Okay. So, boop, boop. Build. let's put my machine under load again. Wait, what now it's complaining about? With cache is not available in this configuration. Right, so I'm going to say, yeah. Sure. Let's at least get by the configure step. What? Okay, sorry. This is ridiculous. Comment all these things out. I mean, failing early is great. Here, you must specify with Android SDK. Okay, but maybe it doesn't want NDK. Okay, reticulating splines. Good stuff. I think we got it. So now what we should be able to do as well is now build our default build over here, and that's really going to put this machine under load. And if I start dropping frames, I'll cancel that. We'll see. So yeah, configure step done. Let's get this artifact thing underway. Is my machine under... Yeah, oh yeah, my CPU is really busy. Okay, let's do this. Oh, maybe I just called with match was enough. Now before what I had was called with. What if that's what was the problem? What if this was the problem and I just needed to, like, if you're passing in an object, it needs to be like a matcher as opposed to like, but I thought for sure it was working before. Yeah, it works. It works. So what's your problem? I'll do it one more time once I'm sure my CPU is going crazy. There it goes. Once Rust starts doing its thing, that would be a great time to see whether or not there's an issue here. I'm getting a little rat hold though, so maybe let's just assume that's all working. If we get the failure to occur, we'll come back to it. But let's go back to what I was hoping to do, which was add two new features to my queue only while we wait for our builds to finish over here. So hopefully this will be done soon though. The first feature I want to add is the ability to alert the user about new interesting changes to the add-on, like maybe things they want to take advantage of or things that they need to do. Like I added a new backend and they might want to fill some information out, or you know, hey, we have working hours now because working hours are now supported by my queue only, and the user might want to know about that so they could set their working hours. I want to be really unobtrusive, so I don't want to just like open a tab after an upgrade. That's really annoying. What I'm going to do instead, first of all, I will, what's the diff here? Well, the other thing I'm going to do, actually, let's go back to, not to just harp on this so much. I'm going to get rid of these. I'm going to go unindent this. I'm basically going to revert everything that I had done, go back to where we were. And put back this called once business. Okay, as you can see in the background, the Fennec artifact build has begun. It's now downloading the right stuff. Or it should be anyways. So that should actually be finished soon. Okay, so what I want to do here is I'm going to make it so that there's going to be like an ID like feature rev, or like feature alert rev equals 1. Anytime we want to alert the user about changes in the change log, we should bump the the revision number here. Okay, and then I'll store, when we initialize, I'll get the let feature rev equal await browser storage local to get feature rev. And I think there's a way you can like, yeah, default like that. And then if in the course of updating the badge in here, update the badge, well, we'll see if there are no reviews by the end of this. If no reviews, check to see if there's a feature to note, there are new features to notify the user about. We intentionally only do this if there are no reviews to do. If feature, wait, I need to like set it as something I can get access to. Let feature rev, feature rev. It's probably a cleaner way of doing that. Whatever. Update badge. If this dot feature rev is less than feature alert rev, then otherwise we set to null. So I'm going to say browser actions set badge text. I'm going to set the text to star. And then I'm also going to set the color to something a little less, like it's red by default, I think. Web extension, set badge color. Man, my machine is suffering right now. But we are nearing the end of the artifact build, I think, which is nice. Am I dropping frames? No, it's miraculous. Set badge background color. That's what I want. Color. So here's how we revert it. Set badge background color, tab ID, color. So here we can, like, no matter what, we'll browser actions set badge background color, or actually let's do it here. We won't do it unilaterally. We'll say color null. If we happened to set the background color when alerting, I'm Canadian, so I'll use a U. When alerting about new features, clear that out now. And then whenever we do want to alert without background or updates, what color do I want? I want something like, kind of like this actually, the background color for Privacy Badger. Do I have an eyedropper? I think I do with Xscope. Let's get the color. Loop. Oh man, my machine is suffering. Okay. Let's get that display RGB. Yeah. Oh, it's in the top left. EC9329. Maybe I want that in. It'd be great if like I could just get like. EC9329. EC9329. So let's convert that. EC9329 hex to RGB EC9329. So I can close the loop now. Hex color. Here we go. RGB. That's what I want. Carrot orange. 236147141. Web extension badge background color. What do I have to pass again? Oh, computer, come on. You'll be okay. Gonna be all right. My CPUs are going crazy. The color is a string. Oh, I could just pass it that. So I'll use that. Color. Okay. And we set the badge text to that. So if I were to run this, I can yarn test manual. Oh, I already have a bug fix in mind. If we've never seen, we should default to, instead of 0, we should default to the feature alert rev if we've never seen it before. Otherwise, we're just gonna, every new user is gonna get an alert about it. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna run that. Ooh, I've got a message in hash live hacking. Daylight savings. Push 200 gigs to a local network Git repo. That will have your CPU quite high, for sure. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, SmurfD. Okay, so let's see if I can get our little badge to show up. I'm now running my add-on using the web extension stuff. So it's going to open up a test instance of Firefox with my web extension. Meanwhile, in the background, these artifact builds, or this build I hope is going to be done soon. This build I doubt is going to be done in time, but you never know. But the fact that we have all the artifacts is quite nice. It's just like it's spending its sweet time packaging stuff up. Okay, so here's my queue only in here. So here's what I'm going to do actually. I'm going to now bump the rev and then save the file and see if that causes the badge to appear. No, because I never saved the rev. That's why. Feature rev. Await browser storage. Set feature rev. Hang on, get feature rev. Yeah. So no matter what, we'll write to it again. I guess that's probably okay. So saving that, and now I'll bump it again. Is that enough to cause it to wake up? No. Let's add some logging. Debug. Looking for feature rev. Console debug. Got feature rev. Feature rev. Okay, now let's take a look at console. Storage, incorrect argument types for storage area get 37. So maybe I've screwed this up. 37. Get. Oh, I think it's because it wants this. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do instead. Get update interval. If not feature rev. No feature rev. This is a first timer. And then set feature rev. What I'll do is like say stop feature rev equals feature alert rev. And then I can do it that way. We set it, otherwise we just console debug. Okay, let's take a look. Feature rev, no feature rev. This is a first timer. Okay, now if I bump and save, now we get the little star. Now, the little star is not amazing. It's like this, it's hard to read. I don't know if I interpret that as an update, but at least we know that it kind of works, that we can show this little thing. So how about an exclamation mark instead? Or some other character. What's a good update character? New. How about the word new? New. Yeah, let's do that. And I really want to use this, you know, sparingly. I don't want to, you know, spam my users with new features, with like new feature alerts all the time. So I want to make sure that you can turn this off as well. Well, or maybe I should just be like really careful about when I use it. So that's good. It comes and goes. Now, when it's new, what do I want to do about it? Well, I want the panel to be able to say like, hey, the panel should be able to tell the user there's new information. And let's see here. Panel pop-up. There's get reviews. I say feature rev. New features. Or yeah, feature. What do I want here? Probably oh, we're almost done our artifact build. That's good. It only took forever. What am I waffling about here? I want information about whether or not there are new features to alert the user about. And then when I click on it, I want to take the user to a change log and make sure that the changes are seen. Okay, our artifact build is done. Let's go back to Fennec for a second here. What happens whenever I run mock run for Fennec on desktop? I have a feeling we get a simulator. And if we have a simulator, I can work with that. Yeah, start an emulator. Oh. All right, well, it's gonna go get like an operating system. It's gotta go find Android and stuff. Okay, so we can keep working on this. Is there a way with CSS you can like new. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. Feature rev equals get feature rev. If feature rev is greater than 0. So 0 means I'm gonna say feature rev. It's not really a feature. It's like I want to know, do you have one, and what is the value? It's almost like two pieces of information. So like maybe that's what I should pass back. Has show new feature panel. It's like new features, feature rev. And so if new features, then document.body set attribute new features true, and document set attribute not just new features. I'm gonna set it to actually the feature rev. And then inside the pop-up, we can put this thing at the bottom. Footer. New features. And the footer, say that the footer I think it's new features. The footer is going to be position salute, and it's going to be stuck to the bottom. And it's going to be padding 15 pixels and background color. We're going to use that same color we used for now for the alert. Actually, const feature alert BG color, and then feature alert string new BG color. Okay. And then the panel, new features. The color is going to be the same thing. I'm just going to duplicate it. It's not great, but I'm going to duplicate it. Maybe in the future I'll find a great place to share that. And border top. Let's find a good complementary color. Maybe I'll put that one, border top. Okay. So nothing, ooh. An emulator is starting, hooray. So that is not exactly right. I want the footer to reach all the way across. And that's not great either. And why is that so ugly looking? That just looked busted. Oh, I'm manually setting a width. That's interesting. Width. Zero. Strongly around creating a new ABD. Well, maybe some other time. Boot this operating system, yo. Is it even happening? Do I have to like power it on myself? All right, well, while we wait for that to sort itself out, I'm gonna hide new body, not new features, new features, display none. Right. I think. Why is the count all busted though? Is there something wrong with the JavaScript? undefined has no properties. Pop up line 3. Undefined has no fee. Oh, right. I actually have to implement this on the other side. Okay. So we're going to go back over here and we're going to add a handler for this message. Case. This is actually also debug stuff. I'm going to say send reply. What were the properties? New features. This dot feature rev is less than feature alert rev. And then we're going to pass along the current feature rev. And that way, hopefully, we can pipe along the information necessary to show the relevant things in a change log. All right. Now let's bump the feature rev. New. Hello, new features. So that is still really ugly, but it works as intended. And then if I were to like drop back down to 1, goes away. So these are sorts of things I could write tests for, and maybe I should. And storing feature rev 3. Okay, so that's handy. In the why not set a class with a new feature? So here inside Twitch, why not set a class with a new feature and set the footer visible when the class is set? Margin? This is from Ernest Pazera. And why not set a class instead of an attribute? Good question. Why not an attribute instead of a class? I guess is my response. Why one in favor of the other? So I'll wait for your response. How's our Android emulator doing? This thing is not booting. What's going wrong here? Starting emulator running 7.0. Great. Boot it. Is this thing even on? QEMU is running and it's using a bunch of my CPU. Let's save a snapshot. No. Don't save a snapshot. I'm going to quit and I'm going to restart it. Oh man, there are like unfinished jobs here. There's like a busted. This build's going to break my actual build here. It's stuck building Rust right now though, so it can't bail out. But it's unhappy about something because it says so right here. Failed to send data or receive data from server, which I'm assuming it's talking about SC cache or something. So let's bail out of that. Let's rerun our the emulator. Margin. That was the other question, is like margin inside here. Is it margin? Yeah, probably. So I probably want, if I want to like hug the very bottom, then what I ultimately want is for the body to have no margin, but everything else to have margins. So I'm going to say I'm under the body. to say sections and headers. Sections and headers under, what was that thing? The body. I'm going to give you a margin of 1 EM for now. I'm just going to pick some arbitrary number. I don't know if that's getting picked up. Come on. Oh, it is. It is indeed. Margin, 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 margin. Body section. Oh, because it's not header, it's H1. That's what it is. And now let's bump the rev. So that's the right idea. Now 100%'s not exactly right, I guess. That's position absolute. So maybe what I want to do here is more like use grid instead. So each of these is a row, and then we make sure that's the bottomish row. Make sure that that row is stuck to the bottom. I'm pretty sure there's a way we can do that. Alternatively, maybe it doesn't actually need to be position absolute. It's just by virtue of it being on the bottom. Maybe that's enough. See, ta-da! That's exactly what I wanted. So then we can turn new features into, or maybe we should improve readability there. Let's get a precise color here. What's this color? It is FFFF. It's the brightest. 59. That's pretty readable, but I worry that the contrast here isn't great, or it's like it's too bright. So maybe let's drop this down a little. DB 8218. And then what I'm going to do is align center. Is that how that works? Right. Trying to remember how to use center stuff and see with CSS. Margin left, auto, margin right. No, that's not right. That's not right at all. How do you center text in a footer? I used to know this stuff. Text align, that's what it is. Text align center. Is that gonna look right? New features. Yeah, that looks good. Now maybe it's a bit obnoxious, all that padding, so I'm gonna drop that down to 5. Yeah, that's a little more, that's nicer. And then we're gonna make it link to something, new features. Now actually, the way this has to work is, I think we have to use say CSS cursor pointer. I'm going to make the whole thing clickable. And then I'm going to say let new features equal, or no, let feature footer equal document element by ID, new features. I'm really overloading. New features, new features, new features. Maybe I should make this like has new features. It's probably a little confusing, but whatever. Has new features. And then over here we say we get the footer, and we're gonna say footer, add event listener, click. It's not super accessible unless we make it a button. Maybe that's what we'll do. We'll make it a button instead. Button. Button. And then has new features. ID has new features. Display block. The other things about it, it's like appearance. Is it Ma's appearance? Screw it. It doesn't need to be a button. Let's not quibble. Has new features. So the idea being that you can just click on this. Cursor, and then I'm going to say it's like pointer events. I think. No, that's the wrong thing. Has new features. I could just turn this whole thing into a link. Man, I don't know. Maybe that makes more sense. That's what it is. It's a link. Anchor. Oh man. And then display block. Yeah, that's more like it. That's the way it should be. And then I need a, if it had like a ref or something, then yeah, that makes sense. That's gonna send you somewhere. Okay. Woo! And then I'm gonna get rid of the underline. Text decoration, none. Cool. All right, now that needs to open something. How's our... Yeah, start the emulator. Geez, that's what we've been waiting for. Goodness. Running faster. How about you just boot my emulator instead of complaining about the one I've got? Can't be found. So I have a feeling my emulator is just like busted. Let's see what that warning that came up. Maybe I have to actually do something. Running an x86 based Android virtual device. Creating a new AVD. Creating a new AVD. Oh no, cables in, oh, never mind. How do I manage this? Do I have Android Studio? Android Studio, I do. That's handy. All right. So let's shut this down. We'll start up Android Studio, and maybe I can manage my devices from there. Meanwhile, let's keep going here. We're going to make this thing open in a new window. Or can we just, like, if we were to, like, set a link, release notes. What happens if I go? Oh, it tries to send the whole thing there. Target equals like. So what I'm going to do is we have this command thing. So we're going to say handle event switch event.type case command event. Great. That's in case other events come down that I want to eventually. That's planning ahead. I don't know if it's a good idea, but that's the way I'm doing it. Console log saw command. Okay, let's see if we can get this far. Meanwhile, Android Studio is here and has updates. I don't care for now. Instead, I want to manage my virtual devices. Tools. Where would that be? Tools AVD Manager. That's where I need to go. So get out of preferences. Tools. What are we talking about here? Do I have like a really old version of Android Studio? Maybe that's my problem. Checking for updates. Current version 2. Oh, I'm a full major version behind. Oh, geez. All right. Do it. Oh, man. I have to actually get it. You're not going to just apply the update. Yeah. Yeah, update. Do it. Yep, I agree. You saw it here, folks. I agree. Hopefully, I just need to fix this bug. Run. So it's actually doing it now. That's nice. Well, while that's running, let's see if we can finish this off. Saw command. That's what I want to see. Whenever I run the terminal, whenever I click on this, I should see saw command. But button is null. Button is null. Because it's not. That's what it needs to be. Has new features. Link. it's not going to be a command, it's going to be a click. Click. On click, because it's not a button anymore. Saw click. Event.prevent default. True false. Target.id. Has new features. Great, saw click. Good. Then what we're going to do is we're going to say, and I've done this in other places, in the options dialog, we open a tab whenever we click on the debug thing. So we create a, tabs create. Browser, tabs create, and we pass it the URL, the href. Great. So this will, great. Now I also want to pass along query string. So has new features, click event. Link.href equals link.href plus feature rev equals rev. So that should take us to feature rev 3. Great. Okay, so now I can create a new document or a new folder, and it's called release notes. Is that what it's called? Release notes. That's how I want to do it, I think. That's how I do it for like whenever I linked to debug. Oh, this is how I did it actually. So I'll do it that way. Debug, release notes. Release notes. So now I'll create a new file in release notes called release notes, and I'll just cut and paste some HTML here. Title. I'm going to say my queue only release notes. Okay, and it's called release notes. And so now if I click on, come on. Good. That'll take us there, and then with the feature rev that was passed in, we can like highlight the right stuff. So I think I can work with that. But I'm gonna end it here. Didn't get nearly as far as I wanted. Nothing built properly. I have to get a new emulator, probably. And then I don't know what the malfunction is with this build. I don't know what its dealio is, but I will have to deal with that elsewhere in my own due time. So thank you so much for watching episode 155 of The Joy of Coding. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next week. Hang on a second. Let me just switch to here. I think we did okay. It was a bit scattered, but eventually we got a little bit of stuff done with that web extension. And now I just need to write tests for all the stuff that I just did. Should have probably written tests first, but you know, baby steps. So anyways, enjoy the rest of your week. If you're celebrating Halloween, happy Halloween. Spooky, spooky. No! And if you're If you're not, well, have a good day anyways. And I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
The joy